Hello, everybody. I am Keaton of Kinetic Catholic Ministries, Season 13, Episode 15, back with another video. I hope that you guys are having an absolutely wonderful All Saints Day so far, guys. It is All Saints Day. I hope you guys had some good Halloween candy last night. Have a lovely All Souls Day tomorrow, All Saints Day, the day in which we commemorate the saints, whether they have been named a saint by a Catholic Church here on earth or not. A saint is anybody who is in heaven. So all those who are in heaven, those who are named a saint by the Catholic Church here on earth, we just know those to be factually in heaven. And then it's a lovely day. It's a holy day of obligation. It truly is beautiful. And then tomorrow for All Souls Day being all those souls who have passed on. So that would be the souls in purgatory as well. So the souls in purgatory kind of coming into the mix with tomorrow. Now, really quickly, guys, there is a huge announcement, something really, really big that Kinetic Catholic Ministries will be doing, is we are partnering with Project YM for a live event. So if you go to the eword.cc/live, that's the E, like the letter E, word.cc/live. There will be details about a live event in which you have myself and then Michael Marchand, who's the co-founder of Project YM, come to your parish, have a day of just training and evangelization, what it means to evangelize. It's based on the book, The E Word, which was written by Michael Marchand, and I wrote the foreword for it. So if you want to go and get that as well. It's not a super long book. It doesn't take forever to read, yet it has a lot of really, really good information about what it means to evangelize. And so the live event is all about evangelization, what it means to evangelize for adults and then for young people. That's what's really cool about it, is it's kind of something that isn't done, where we have an opportunity for Michael Marchand to work more closely with the adults, and then for me to work with the young people and really have a conversation about what it means to evangelize, what our role is to evangelize. So if you want to reach out about booking that live event, please go to theeword.cc/live, and I will put the link to that in the description. You scroll all the way to the bottom, you put in your name, and you can start getting information about it and how to book it. Now, what I want to talk about today is something that I've a little bit been dreading to talk about, as much as I hate to say it, but I promise it would come to you guys. I have some people asking, and that is the Rings of Power Season 1 review. Now, the Rings of Power, the Season 1 has been over for a couple weeks. The reason I haven't gotten this video to you guys sooner is simply because I was really trying hard to get myself to want to watch it. So the reason that I do it on here is Lord of the Rings is a inherently Christian story. It just is, written by J.R.R. Tolkien, who was a Catholic, and although he wanted to make sure that his story was for those who were, not only those who were Catholic, but for everybody, and he did that, his Catholicism was so strong that it definitely was put into his work, put into Middle-earth, into this world. And so when Amazon announced that they'd be making a series about it called The Rings of Power, which takes place before Lord of the Rings, people were really worried for a couple of reasons. Number one, just because J.R.R. Tolkien didn't just write The Lord of the Rings. He wrote a whole bunch, a history of the world of Middle-earth. And so everything's already written. So what Amazon was going to do was pretty nerve-wracking. But secondly, if Amazon was going to kind of take away those Christian elements and directly contradict them, because there were some rumors before it started that we would see some not so Christian things within the series, and that wasn't something that we wanted. I will say right now, listen, people have been hard on Rings of Power. I get it. I kind of am too. What we can say is that in all of Season 1, there wasn't anything like the rumors that were being talked about before the series started. There wasn't any direct inappropriateness that went against church teaching, or that was kind of harmful to this Christian idea as a whole. So that's a good thing. If we're going to commemorate Rings of Power for anything, like, okay, we can commemorate them for that. That's great. We'll take it. But when it comes to a story, when it comes to a series, it's disappointing. And it's disappointing as someone, if you're following the channel for a long time, you know I'm a huge Lord of the Rings nerd. And I think it's great to have a story like Lord of the Rings that so deeply connects to Christianity, and we can take the morals from it and connect it to Christianity. I think Rings of Power tries really, really hard to be like that. I just don't think it is. I was bored through a lot of the episodes. I didn't really get into it until episode 6. And there were, I believe, 8 episodes in season 1. So it's not like there were 8 episodes in season 1. If it takes till episode 6 to get really entertaining, that's an issue. As much as I'm not as much of an expert on the lore of Middle-earth as I'd like to be, or as I'd like to admit, it still doesn't fully go along with the lore of Middle-earth. It has a lot of just really weird things about it. They portray Galadriel in an entirely different light than how she actually is. A lot of the stuff, because I did a couple of episode reviews earlier, a lot of the stuff that I said there that I was thinking, maybe this can improve throughout the season, really, really doesn't. Because they really try to have deep emotional moments. The only problem is they don't really build up to those deep, emotional, impactful scenes, because it kind of seems like every scene that they're throwing at you, they want it to be deeply meaningful and have some resonate with you in a way. But the issue is when every scene is like that, then you don't have any scenes that build up to that, so it just feels empty. It doesn't really feel like those scenes are deeply impactful in any way. Because, an example, and again, if you don't want to be spoiled, then I would click off this video because we're going to get into some spoilers, but I don't think you'd be missing much. Anyway, so there's this stranger. This is a prime example of that. There's this stranger who like comes down in like a fireball thing in the first couple of episodes. And you're really confused. It's called The Stranger. You're really confused as to who this person is. We're still not fully sure. We find out at the end that it's a wizard of some kind, and he begins to talk more and stuff. Might be Gandalf. I don't know. If it is Gandalf, that's not how Middle-earth was written. Anyway, we don't really know. Anyway, at the end though, he goes to the Hartfoots, and there's this main Hartfoot girl named Nori. And at the end, Nori decides to leave the rest of the Hartfoots to go with him. And it's supposed to be like a super emotional, impactful goodbye that she has to the rest of the Hartfoots, which is basically what the Hobbits were originally. Except that it's just not emotional or sad, and it's just kind of weird. It's like, okay, so the stranger landed here. I get that you were nice to him and everything, and I get that he helped you guys out, but now, especially with how young Nori is, now you're gonna leave your family to go with him, and they don't even really say where they're gonna go. They're like, so where do we go? And he's like, I don't know. Like, he says something inspirational, and it's like, it's just kind of weird. It just doesn't make any sense. It's just it has this deep emotional moment in one of the final episodes where it's a very long goodbye, and like the characters are crying, and I was watching it thinking, am I supposed to be sad right now? Because I'm really not, because they didn't have any build up to it. They had very little build up or reasons for Nori to leave the rest of the Hartfoots. That's just an example of many of how they try to make everything a deep metaphor. They try to stretch things out to where it doesn't really make sense. Like Halbrand being Sauron, like, okay, I guess it's fine. I didn't really like it personally. I felt like Halbrand wouldn't have done a lot of the things that he did if he was really Sauron the whole time. I don't think it's a quality show. Now, whether it directly goes against church teaching, I'm going to say no, it doesn't. It doesn't necessarily have super Christian themes in it, but I mean, you didn't fully expect it. I'm very grateful that it chose to not go in some directions that some people thought it was going to when it comes to the inappropriateness against Catholicism, because let's be real, society has this sort of anti-Catholic idea, and so it can be a little bit scary as to what's going to come out. Is this going to be what J.R.R. Tolkien wanted? So do I think from a religious perspective it's okay? Yes. Do I think from a is this what J.R.R. Tolkien wanted Middle-earth perspective, is it okay? No. And they're making a season 2. It's not going to come out for a long while, so you will be saved from the Lord of the Rings videos for a while, I promise you. But it's not, like, it's really disappointing. And it's disappointing as a Lord of the Rings fan that I am to see the show not really do much. It has beautiful effects. It looks stunning. I said that in my past 2 episodes, right? Like, everything looks stunning, and it does. And it could be so great. It's just really, really bad. Like, it just is. That's all I have to say. It got a little bit entertaining toward the end, but it was entertaining in a sense of what's going to happen next, not in a sense of, oh, I deeply connect with these characters, I understand these characters, like the Lord of the Rings makes you do. And the Lord of the Rings, with less screen time, or maybe around the same, because it's about 3 hours per movie, and then Rings of Power was a little over an hour per episode. So maybe around the same time of screen time as the Lord of the Rings characters and the Rings of Power characters. I can barely tell you any of the Rings of Power's characters' names, except for who I already know from Lord of the Rings. Like, there's Durin, there's Galadriel, there's Elrond, but Halbrand, I mentioned Halbrand, but, like, Nori, I guess, but as a whole, there's so many characters that you just don't really. And I'm fine with there being a lot of characters. Like Lord of the Rings, there's a ton of characters, but I'm able to know their names because I'm able to connect with them. I'm able to care about them because Lord of the Rings, the movies. And the books, like I read the books, but this is specifically commenting on the movies. It does an amazing job of actually making you feel for the character, actually making you connect with the character to the point where you can walk away knowing their names, feeling for them, understanding their motives, understanding who they are as a character. Rings of Power, you can't do that because all the characters are so dull. They're all kind of all the same, where it's like deep metaphor trying to do your best. And the reality is not every single person is like that. And when you're making a story, if all your characters act the same and kind of say all the same things, then that's an issue. But again, when it comes to Christianity, when it comes to how it does with Catholicism, it does fine. I'm very grateful for that. Again, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt when it comes to that. But basically, my idea with this review is I'm watching it so that you don't have to, because as much as I hate to say it, it is a little bit of a chore to watch and sit through, which a Middle-earth story shouldn't be a chore. It should be something fun. So now that the topic is done, do y'all know what it is time for now? It's time for
the Saint of the Week.
And today's Saint of the Week is All the Saints. What do you know? It's All Saints Day. We got to make it All Saints, right? And so I think that it's important to kind of look at all the saints and really understand the reality of what All Saints Day is, because it's such a significant holiday even within Catholicism and solemnity that is too often skimmed over. So I briefly mentioned in the beginning, but I kind of want to go back a little bit to it, how All Saints Day is actually commemorating everybody who is in heaven, known and unknown, so canonized and not canonized. So that can be a little bit confusing, but the reality is people kind of like to explain it with a capital S, lowercase s saints, right? So capital S saints, those are saints that have been canonized by the Catholic Church, meaning that the Catholic Church, we know for a fact that those people are in heaven. We know for a fact that they're in heaven, and therefore we can come to understand them as saints. Now, there are people who we don't know for sure are in heaven, but there's bound to be more saints in heaven, because a saint is anybody who is in heaven. There's bound to be more people in heaven that the Catholic Church just hasn't canonized, because the Catholic Church doesn't know for sure. If the Catholic Church is going to acknowledge somebody as a saint, then we want to be absolutely positive that that person is in heaven before we just go ahead and say, okay, you're a saint, you're in heaven. Because ultimately it's not up to us to decide. It's up to God to decide. And so exactly what God has chosen, we can't know for sure, but we do know of the capital S saints that they are for sure in heaven. And then any saint that we do not know for sure is in heaven is also commemorated on this day. So it's all of the saints. Now, how this got celebrated, can go back to the 4th century when the Christians would celebrate all the martyrs that had come before them. Pope Boniface IV ended up gathering up later on some 28 wagon loads of bones and buried them under the Pantheon, which was, at the time, it was dedicated to a whole bunch of different gods, and then he rededicated the church as a Christian church. And so he intended that the memory of all the saints then and in the future might be held at the Pantheon. And so that's kind of how more celebrating it on All the Saints came to be, is through that. So initially it was just a holiday in Rome, and then it ended up getting moved to be a universal holiday among everywhere in Catholicism and moved to November 1st. And so Halloween, I talked about this last week, but Halloween is actually because of All Saints Day. It's a Catholic holiday commemorating the eve of All Saints Day, which is today. So All Saints Day, truly a lovely day, and it's really, really good to be able to look at the lives of the saints and understand that ultimately they achieve the goal of getting to the kingdom of heaven, which is what all of us are here to do. We're all trying to get there. That's why we're here, right? Is to get to the kingdom of heaven. And so anytime when we feel like we may be struggling with really anything, our faith life, who we are, and there's a big misconception that Catholics pray to the saints, that we worship the saints. That's not true. We ask the saints to pray for us, kind of like asking a friend to pray for you, right? If the saints are in heaven and we ask them to pray for us, surely they can help us out, because the saints, that capital S saints, again, we know are in heaven. So anytime we feel like we're struggling with really anything, we can pray through any one of the saints, or all of the saints, and ask them to pray for us. So let's just do it. All saints, pray for us. So before you guys click off this video, again, please visit the eword.cc/live. That's the letter E, word.cc/live. It ends up looking like the word, right? Because it's the E word. I just want to make that clear. The E word.cc/live for details on the live event that we are partnering with Project YM on, and myself and Michael Marchand coming to your parish and being able to really have a workshop on what it means to evangelize, because it would be absolutely lovely. Also, if you want to book just me to come speak in general to your church, school, men's group, women's group, youth group, parish, you name it, please reach out to us directly at kineticcatholicministries@gmail.com, or go to the website kineticcatholicministries.com, click the contact us page, and reach out to us from there. Please check out all 3 of the social medias, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The link to all 3 of those will be in the description down below. Please go to the website, kineticcattholic.com. In general, there's so many awesome things you can do on there, as well as a Kinetic Catholic shop. Please click the red subscribe button down below and the bell next to it. That way you get notified when I come out with a new video. Please like the video. Please comment and say your topic suggestions that you might have for future videos. And please share this channel video with your friends and family. Make sure that they know what we are doing over here at Kinetic Catholic Ministries. So thank you all so much again for watching. I hope that you guys are having a lovely All Saints Day, had a lovely Halloween last night, and have a lovely All Souls Day tomorrow. This was Keaton of Kinetic Catholic Ministries. I will see you all next week, and hi, Brielle.